And we are Barack for Joe Tober because we're flying the Yak 3U again. And I was looking through YouTube videos recently. I was like, hey, is there any like Yak 3U videos in Sim? Because I got a new stick and I was trying it out. I'm working on my aim. I want to get a little bit better at flying. And this thing, when it's a 5.0 to 6.0 day, is incredibly fun to fly. And I think it's one of those planes that gets overlooked by the sim community at large. Like the normal Yak 3, the 4.7 one is very popular. Even the Yak 3P, the one that's identical to the Yak 3, but the guns have been changed out for, the tuber resins have been changed out for 20 mils. That thing has identical performance, and by the time it gets to 5.7, it's lacking in some areas. This thing, performance-wise, at low altitude, is an absolute monster. It is disgustingly good. It's fast, it turns well, it retains energy well. The guns after Real Shatter have been changed so that the tracer belt is very good. So even though you don't have a lot of ammo, you can do a lot with very little. And just like a Catholic priest going after some altar boys, we're going to be taking the Yak 3U and we're going to be harvesting some F4U4 bussy. Now, the F4U4B, this is one of those planes that if you pay attention to Axis players, they hate this thing because it is kind of better than everything else that they have. It's incredibly difficult to fight. It has a ton of ammo that can spray from a long range. It's fast. It turns better than the K4. It doesn't climb better, but if you get into an equal dogfight with something like a K4, the 4B is most likely going to win. Really, the only thing that the Axis Germany specifically has that can really keep up with the F4U4B, and at least that's only in a turn fight, is going to be something like the TA152H. And the FW190 flight models in Sim are a little bit quirky. It's a little quirky to use, and it's a big target. And then the 4B, it's not small, but it handles very nicely. But the Yak 3U just does everything a little bit better except for diving straight down. And when you get these guys in a turn fight, and if you get them to stick to it, this thing it's just got the dog in it. It's just got the dog. And then all these other American planes, the P-51, D-30, that thing's like pretty good, but it's no Yak 3U, it's no low altitude turn fighter, and that's all these guys are doing. Now the reason these guys are doing this is like some of these guys are in a team. There's really, like, I entered this furball with the idea that it was going to be like a mutually assured destruction furball, like it was going to be a good balance of like friendly planes and enemy planes. No, it's like me and the guy that rammed me. So we're just I'm just more or less just running a train on these guys. I got like one guy behind me almost at all times, but because this thing retains speed, because it's small, because even though we're turning, we're still going relatively fast. We usually have like enough energy to just barely juke out of the way. We're just going to keep going for guys, and we're just going to keep thinning these numbers down. And this is really one of those situations where Sim ends up playing like Air RB. Like, it's just a big dumb furball, and we're going to play it out. Like, there's no real strategy to this, because even though you're fast, even though you climb well, trying to get away from a total of 8 people at the same time that have guns that will shoot you from a kilometer away, like, flying straight just isn't the move. So even though we're slow, this is still probably the best damn option we have. We get some hits on the 4B. We didn't even commentate on the other kills because like it's just that quick. We get this guy's wingtip. He's off. Another 4 bussy is going to be slamming into the ground. We're down to 8 rounds. We have a total of 7 kills. And at this point, we're kind of like, okay, maybe it's time to start going back home, looking at rearming. But then we look at the scoreboard. We look at the time. And by the time I get back to base and rearm and try to come back, the game's going to be over. So we have 8 rounds. That's enough for 8 pilot snipes. And that's exactly what we're going to attempt to go do. We come back by this F4U4B is hitting the ground. We have our LA-11 over here. It might be, actually it's an LA-9. I'm sorry about that. I can't read on the little small screen, but we merge with another 4 bussy, and this fight's over after basically 1 turn. Like, this guy comes in, wastes all of his energy, and there's no defensive line to take against the 3U in his scenario, and he ends up spinning out in front of us, and we blow the last of our load into him, and he's going to not recover from that stall. We're going to get 8 kills, and that is That's 8 kills on players in basically 5 minutes. Like, this thing is incredibly good. It is incredibly slept on. It's like incredibly like misunderstood too, because I've had people argue with me on this thing that like, oh, it's not that good. Like, I've had dudes say that they could stall fight this thing with an F4U 4B easily, and like, no, you can't. At low altitude, this thing has like a 30 meter per second climb rate. It is very good, and even if you have the faster plane, this thing's not slow. And this thing accelerates insanely good. So you really, really have to be careful around this thing. You make one small mistake, he's coming up for you, and he's going to eat that ass. Like, he's got that dog in him. He's going to be up inside of you. That's the video. We're going to roll to the credits screen. Now, normally, if I was going to be a little bit more in-depth with the review, I would definitely go out and get a little bit more gameplay samples and edit some stuff together. But really, that kill sequence, like 8 kills in 5 minutes, really kind of brings home what flying the Yak 3U is all about, which is you just go in, you pretend that you're the main character in anime, and you just start fragging the shit out of things. Anyways, I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please give me a like and a subscribe.